Fantastic Comics presents Grant Morrison's Green Lantern, Season 2, Number 2.
What a weird little, I like your graphic. Are you abnormal?
Say, what was that?
I like the what you got going on behind you.
I was going to start the show last week and talk about slacks.
Like pants?
Yeah.
I got some nice slacks.
By authority of the mystic guardians of the universe, on the far distant planet Oa, Hal Jordan, test pilot, becomes the Green Lantern.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Fantastic Comics Presents. Today we'll be taking a look at Green Lantern number 2 by Grant Morrison and Liam Sharp. This just came out, a few months prior to COVID, and it is so wacky and so offbeat. I thought I'd have my friend Max come and help me with explaining what goes on in this book. Max, how are you doing?
What's up? I'm good. It's great. Good to be here. I love this comic. Rereading this comic this afternoon, I was just like, so good. I got oh my god. It's
excellent. There's so much going on in it.
I mean, I love this Green Lantern run. Like, do we want to just talk about this? It's.
I don't want to really just say everything that happens, so that we don't, leave.
Don't want to give it away.
Exactly. I would like to discuss at first how I had a rough time understanding this issue the first time I read it.
I did too, but it didn't harm my enjoyment of the issue. I still read it, and I was like, that was a trip. That was totally weird. And then I liked the ending of it. I felt I was satisfied after reading it, but there was some stuff I had to go back over, definitely, for sure.
It's kind of like, I don't know where I actually got lost, because it was very understandable at first. We're getting put in a situation where this guy is showing these people this town. I'm going to make it simple, a town.
Yeah.
It's really, it's these 5 districts of crazy, futuristic science fiction, like a Disneyland, it's kind of compared to, right?
Yeah, but it's also owned by Hal's kind of new Earth girlfriend. Hal's got, I gotta say, this run of Green Lantern has just super sold me on Hal, because I just grew up on Kyle, and I love Kyle, and Grant Morrison wrote Kyle. That's kind of why I kind of like him so much. Is that that JLA Kyle was definitely Morrison's voice of unease and inexperience, I think, being the young guy on the team, and he was so cool. He was the graphic artist and whatever. He had the cool costume, but this run has really just sold me on and maybe it's just kind of, I'm getting older too, but Hal's coming again. Hal's super fucking cool. He's just so classic. He just feels he just looks good. Liam Sharp is drawn. I love the fact that they have a good, timely artist working with. And I think issue 3, I was going through it. I forgot that one's not Liam Sharp, but I feel like for the most of them, all of them have just been him, and he's just been. I think he did a really good job with this issue.
Yeah, he has a classic style that will remind you of a lot of different Green Lantern illustrators. Obviously, some poses and panel layouts sometimes are very Neil Adams-esque.
And then, and it does have this, and I don't know, it's working with the colors too. The colors are coming together, and the deep shadows, I think, are helping the digital colors.
The colorist is Steve Oliff, who is a classic colorist in comics for a long time.
Yeah, this run just is so much fun. Anyway,
it's a very a seasoned team that's working on this book.
Totally, and I think with this City of the Future stuff, it's just it's totally Silver Age storytelling, and I think that's why it's so you don't really get it at first, but he's doing
this is all on Earth also.
It all takes place on Earth, and it's all Silver Age storytelling. It really is. It hits all the beats of it. There's something in there about a little bit of capitalism in there. There's some wacky human other thing hybrid. He's been doing that a lot. A lot of weird like the issue before this, he teams up with the Salt Man, the person who's humans are 90% water. What would a being that's 90% salt look like?
Right.
And it's very much like a Lethal Weapon situation with Hal and this little mineral man, and it's
Right.
totally awesome. And then at the end, Hal's just like, oh, you know, you're gonna join the Corps. It's gonna be awesome. And we got a new Green Lantern. And it's so cool.
Yeah, and you know, even in that story and pretty much all the other Green Lantern stories, the thing that Grant Morrison does is he just kind of throws you into the situation. There's no caption boxes that are telling you anything about, you know, what people are thinking or all this super backstory. It's all coming through in conversation between characters.
It is, but if there is some stuff, he does it really well. Like it's just, he's just the fucking man. He's the godfather of comics these days. Like,
now, the thing a lot of people have a problem with Grant Morrison is that, well, there's a few things, but usually it's that he doesn't rein himself in, or there's nobody in any company that's ever going to be able to rein him in. Do you think that's true, or do you think he's a kind of guy that's just exploring his creativity as much as he possibly can?
I think he's so good at playing with others and playing on his own and like leaving ins and outs for everything respectfully. I love this page. Oh my God. I would buy this page if I could, but I'm sure it's all digital. But like, I love that feather. Like, that's so cool. Like this, like someone finding a giant feather is freaky. It's gross. Like, I think feathers when they're just like around are just gross, and then seeing like that big one. But going back to your question, I think he just reins himself in. I think this is super reined in storytelling. It's like he compresses Green Lantern so much into what it like kind of used to be. But it's kind of
like what comics used to be also. We have a one-issue story that is something that you're going to have to reread or want to reread. And
or have to reread because you were like, what the fuck did I just read?
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. So Eve, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is Eve Doremus? Is that how you say her name?
And she's the daughter. She's also very Silver Age. She's the daughter of this industrialist. And there's two Silver Age things like this. You got this city of the future, but then what they're using it for is just stupid. They're using it for like a theme park, like an alien theme park.
Of course, that's exactly what we would do, like Jurassic Park or something.
Exactly. Like what are we doing? Like there's people living on the streets, but we have 5 billion what's it called? Escape rooms out there. So it's like, yeah, I guess we probably would have a city in the future. And yeah, it's kind of like oh my God, it's a little nihilistic. There's a line in here that really I was just like, maybe I am a Hal guy when he just says that he's on stakeout duty. On the next page, he says, I'm on stakeout duty on this authoritarian suicide sphere that birthed us. I was like, yeah, Hal. Like, I feel you, dude. Like, I'm a Hal guy now.
All right, so he's so what happened was So there was a group that went missing. There's been a bunch of people that have been going missing in this theme park.
Cold open horror movie. Oh, we're going, and her dad has gone missing. Right, going on tour.
So Hal's here to be us. She says, "I called Cosmic 911, Hal."
Yeah, she's totally cool and snarky and cute and just like, you know, I can see why Hal's going for Eve. It's cool. New character, love it. And then we get that shit. This was like, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
yeah. So it's a guy in a mask, an alien mask.
It's totally just an actor. It's totally just like, oh, I'm an actor in this weird mechanical mask, and that's so Silver Age, dude. Like, like he's just tripping. Like, and Grant Morrison's just tripping. It's like, oh, it was funny, and Hal gets a little scared, and they have like a little superhero like just talk about masks and stuff, and this dude is just what's his name? His name's Johnny Blue.
Johnny Blue.
But then they make fun of how he just has one backpack. I got a buddy like that. I make fun of him too. It's just like
well, he even you're talking about Hal with one backpack.
Yeah, it's like because this scene is just so quaint, and I was like, what is this?
And that's his crazy relationship with Eve here. Also, he just kind of like, hey, I'm in town. Let's hang out. No attachments, and I'll leave. When it's time.
But she's cool. She's cool. She's cool with
She's
it.
cool with it.
Great art, dude. I love the shadows and stuff.
Yeah,
And
super
you know, it's nice.
great.
You know, this guy's he's a First Nations person, I think.
Sure looks
cool.
like it. I mean, I don't want to like cast any aspersions, but
No, it's cool. I think Grant Morrison's got it.
he's just a dude. Also, I mean, he really isn't. I mean, who cares?
exactly.
You know.
Well, no, exactly. But I mean, that's what Grant Morrison does great. Is that he is a dude that's totally comfortable and with inclusion in his storytelling.
Sure,
Top to bottom.
I guess the thing is like what a lot of people have a problem with when it comes to that kind of thing is how forced it feels, or if it's natural. And the thing is that Grant Morrison always, at least a little bit, feels like he's jam-packing so much stuff in. You really have no time to consider anything so tedious or minute, as what a person's, unless they bring it up, it really doesn't play.
Unless it's like unless they're like a main character, but he's just, this guy's not a main character. He's just Eve's, one of Eve's employees, but he's cool.
Right. Okay, so that's our first encounter with those masks, though, and
so weird.
So this is the part where it kind of starts throwing me a little bit, because we come upon Hal Jordan and he's looking over. He almost looks like he's on another land, like another world altogether.
Yeah.
It looks so outer spacey and different from up above, and he's having a conversation with his ring, and he's already in mid-conversation.
I'm not going to give anything away, but him and his ring have, like, speaking of Jordan girls, his ring is kind of like one of his new, like, confessions. They have a very, like, loving relationship, and there is a whole issue about it where it's so funny, but it's definitely some of that, like, I married the Eiffel Tower kind of stuff, where he, like, deeply makes a connection with his ring, and that's kind of how the rings talk these days. Like, Jeff Johns had him, and his predecessors had it as a very, like, robot, like,
I'm at 20% capacity, power, whatever.
Yeah, kind of just pretty. Oh, excuse me, Star Trek. But this is like much more fun. It's definitely Iron Man and Pepper, kind of,
Oh yeah, sure, definitely,
which is cool.
So, or if you will, it's like a partner also.
Totally.
I mean,
totally.
like
database partner, and it has a bunch of new powers, new superpowers. That's another cool thing, is that we have these new Guardians, which I think show up in this issue, and they're like young and sexy, and they're like
right, yeah.
And they've given Green Lantern a bunch of new upgraded weird powers, which is totally Silver Age.
It also doesn't feel like it's necessarily tying in with the main title right now, which is another thing about this book. You don't have to read it.
What do you mean? Which main title?
Well, I mean the main world, like the Justice League and stuff like that.
But at the same time, it totally does in its own way. In this flippant, like, I think previous issue, they're like, he's talking to Jon Stewart and Jessica Cruz, and they're just like, he just does such good, like, superheroes shooting the shit. It's just
that's the thing. I mean, all right, so these, for anybody that hasn't read Green Lantern or doesn't know too much, what the stereotype of them is that they're cops in space,
right?
And Hal Jordan's definitely one of those guys that only sees things like a cop, and it famously, Green Arrow made him pay attention to race and how things affect other things, and very socially conscious. Exactly. Hal Jordan, when you see him in this book, you see him with Simon Baz or Jessica Cruz or Jon Stewart. It's always in a cop function usually, and so the joking around that they're doing or the things that they're talking about are very specific to, like, this kind of thing right now.
Yeah, but there's lots of good commentary on law enforcement, and he's definitely like,
there isn't this one a lot, right?
Oh, in every issue, there's always a little bit, I think in this one, it's kind of casual. Like, Eve calls him, like, Super Pig, because he bubbles up Johnny Blue, and Johnny Blue's like, hey, man, how much is it? How much air is in that thing, dude? Like, take it easy. And and there's previous issues that, there's a really chilling issue in season 1 where he takes out, not Kanjar Ro, but like a Kanjar Ro type alien, and he just ices him, and it's all a ploy to go undercover. But there's definitely some, like, Hal Jordan gets, like, a little scary cop a little bit. And this was before, and this was Yeah,
Well, he had to do some in season 1. He had to do some things that we didn't realize were tying into a larger piece, and he had a, but it all works out.
It all works out. And to say like, this isn't like I don't think this is like an explicitly like pro law enforcement comic book either. Like Green Lantern often has to think in opposite ways, and there's the best moments are when he's like, there's some like tenderness between him and like who he has to deal with. I think the issue after this, he helps like those sentient clouds like find each other, and it's like this cloud is a pet, and he threatens to arrest the military, and it's pretty cool. Very 70s,
Keying in with that idea that he has to find a different way to do things. That's kind of what he's doing right here, because he's speaking gibberish. And even his ring really isn't understanding anything that he's talking about.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I think that, having this conversation with you, see, that's what kind of, so we're right in the middle of a conversation with him. He's speaking gibberish. We don't know what's really going on. And then Hal comes upon Eve being attacked by this guy in a mask like he saw Johnny Blue in.
Yeah. Well, it is Johnny Blue. I think it is Johnny Blue.
Oh, this is a Johnny Blue also?
I think it's Johnny Blue or like he's putting like a mask on her. He doesn't realize it.
I see.
And here's where it gets weird is that like they're talking about right there, no alien activity detected. Right. Only persistent and unusually modulated ultra high frequencies. So someone's messing with the masks, using them for mind control, like you do in the Silver Age.
Mind control.
They get Green Lantern in one, and you definitely get cool alt Green Lantern. And if this was like 10 years ago or whatever, this would be like 6 issues.
Well, that's the thing, he's going to tell this all in one issue. Again, if you're going to spend $4 or $5 on a comic book these days, you want to have a reason to have to look at it a second.
I'm just looking at, and I liked the Jeff Jones stuff. It was fine. It was totally cool, and like that stuff had its heyday. And I'm sure I knew it was gangbusters for sales for some places, but just that corner where he's got his little starfish head. That's one issue of Jeff Johns' thing right there. And he would go off where he's talking to a starfish mask, and the starfish mask is doing some cool stuff, and you get a big cover where he's got the starfish mask on. But we don't get that.
Right.
Mercifully, keeps it brief and cool. And this is where it just like over the span of 3 pages, it goes from like 0 to totally fucking.
Yeah, we think he's going to an amusement park. He's trying to figure out what's going on with the missing people.
Yeah, it goes from Scooby-Doo to like a nightmare scenario.
Right. So he allows them. What we don't realize is that the gibberish speaking and being taken over and having a mask put on him was all just a big old ploy. Right. Yeah,
and he has a cute little back and forth with his ring, and that's some of the best stuff about this run is Hal Jordan just being cute with aliens, like technology and stuff like that, and just being a stupid old Earth lunkhead. Right. And it's not based on anybody. It's just Hal fucking Jordan. It's not so and so as Hal Jordan. It's not whoever's playing him next in the movie. It's just classic. It's perfect. Oh my god, love this book. Love this. Love reading it every month. Love buying it. Sometimes I buy 2 issues. I'm not gonna lie.
All right, so let me explain just this little bit, and we're not going to like tell everything that's going to happen. But like you said, over the course of the next 3 pages, we find an uncovered underground city that Hal meets this like bird guy named Raka. And he's the Lord of the Ornithoids.
Oh, this is so good. He looks like Adrian Toomes on acid. This is so good.
Yeah, he does.
Look at this gross gobble neck. Liam Sharp draws the fuck out of this weird dude.
Yeah, he's like got a goiter gobble neck or something. You definitely can
see him shaking it around in your face.
And he's like super angular, and he's got these pointed nose and chin, and it's just
he like
really good looking.
Scenes where he's like his chin sinks back into his whole neck, and his neck.
It's no question that this guy's the bad guy here.
Yeah,
and his whole thing is He's trying to undig these eggs, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how
He's
much
using all the people that are being controlled by these masks that they're wearing. These are the people that come into the amusement park. They're being captured so that they can just dig up these eggs.
But yeah, and Green Lantern it's so funny. Oh my god. And there's Eve with her squid face. Squid skull face. Yeah, oh my god. What a trip, dude. Do you know he eats like a gram of hash a day, like allegedly? That's what he
eats
says.
A gram of hash?
Well, you can eat hash and you get like super like messed up. Like, apparently he eats.
That's fine. I mean, I hope it tastes good. That sounds horrible.
Who knows what he eats too? Like, I don't know. Not like that. Not like humans, like you and me, dude.
Well, that's true. I mean, if you could put in a McDonald's hamburger, I guess I could do it. Really quickly, just so that people know, Hal gets imprisoned, and he meets another bird who's in prison.
Before that, though, he definitely sees Dr. Dorm, or not Doctor, but Mr. Dorm as Eve's dad gets dragged away.
Right, he's getting dragged away to work again.
No. I love it. It's so classic. So two panels. That's two panels where he just has that little interaction with him and the Green Lantern. It's so good.
So, Green Lantern does solve the situation. Everything's cool. I think I understood it a lot more upon the second reading, so I wasn't as worried. I mean, I wasn't as confused or, worried. I had talked about it earlier, but on another episode, and I was just so lost at what I was trying to explain. It just was not flowing, and I don't think I was able to actually wrap my brain around it, but it didn't seem so strange and different after you read it the first time.
No, and it's really well made. Like, as much as we're talking about Grant Morrison, Liam Sharp knocks it out of the fucking park with this issue. Like, I'm just looking at these last, like, without giving anything away, I'm just looking at these last few pages where Hal saves the day. Mm-hmm. There's some wonderful, like that. First off, I love the ending of this comic. It's perfect. Look at that page. Go back.
Yes, going back.
That page is great.
This page is amazing. He doesn't use. So the thing about Liam Sharp is the way he crafts a page. It kind of reminds you of maybe like a J.H. Williams III,
totally,
or maybe an Alex Nino even more, where he doesn't necessarily have to use panels or the regular outline of a comic book panel to create the page, and yet it still tells a very cohesive story, even though we're looking at an obvious splash page. It's so really creatively done. It's amazing. Yeah.
So without giving too much away, Hal Jordan makes friends with the bird people, and it's adorable. Yes. It really is good. And he goes back and he sees Eve, and they spend the night together. And
then finally the Guardians tell him what his mission is.
I'm rereading this. I was like, these new Guardians are...
They're taller. They got breasts. Some of them do. Oh, there's only one woman, I think, right?
No, there's a whole. There's like a.
It's not like Smurfette, is it?
No, there's a couple women on the Guardians, but they're just totally weird again. Like they stop being weird.
They are. Comics, they look well. I mean, they just
especially Green Lantern stopped being weird. Like it got super Power Rangers for a little bit. Like
But are you talking New 52, Rebirth, all of that stuff?
It was. I think Jeff Johns had a good run to start with, but it just went too far. It went too little too Star Trek-y, too much into the lore. It had this creationist bent to it. Do you remember that? There was a big reveal at the end of Blackest Night where, like, Earth is the center of the entire universe, and all life starts with Earth. And it's just like, ugh.
No, I gotta admit, I do not remember this.
I remember that, and I was like, that's kind of dumb. Like, as much as I do, like, I was reading it and enjoying it. And they had great artists on. I didn't much. Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, I could give or take. That Green Lantern Corps.
With Tomasi and Gleason.
Those were
beautiful.
That book had me every month. That was a great book.
Speaking of beautiful, Liam Sharp draws Eve, and she is very, very sexy looking.
Oh yeah, she looks good.
You know, a lot of people complain about the way that the sexiness in comic books is gone, and I disagree. If you look at, again, this one page, or just look at all of his work on Green Lantern, it just is a very, very sharp, sorry I said that, book. It's very sexy. Male, female, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah,
the last page here, look at Hal looking stud.
Oh, there's a scene with Hal. You can see the stubble on his chin. He's got a little beard coming in. It's like, oh, what is that? Yeah, Hal's looking like a stud. Even like going back to like season 1 with Beelzebeth, and Hal crafts this like tragic, or Hal, I'll call it Hal. Grant Morrison crafts this like tragic, romantic, undead alien princess, and you're just like, oh, I'm catching feels for this total monster. Like it's. Hal Jordan is like totally your James Bond. Like he's got a million girlfriends. They're all they're all just as cool as he is. So that's just a good issue, man.
These guys that like Grant Morrison, obviously Liam Sharp, you could tell that he has a real understanding or a desire to understand the Silver Age. Darwin Cook, another classic guy that really enjoyed the Silver Age and can kind of revamp it in such a way so it makes sense today, or at least, like a lot of times you'll see people come into comics and the first thing they want to do is kind of maybe axe or destroy, something so that they can rebuild it.
That only works if you can pull it off.
Right.
You gotta have it, and you gotta have it like in the can. I gotta feel like it can't be like an experiment. You gotta be like, you gotta know that you got some time to like. I'm gonna stick with these characters for a little bit, but
right.
Yeah, I agree. That's the scorched earth thing is kind of old hat, but I don't know. It's needed sometimes.
But not in this Green Lantern.
No, well, I mean,
he's totally doing that.
He kind of does it, but he did it the way he does everything, which is respectfully and quietly. Mm-hmm. Where it's just like, oh yeah, you didn't know? Yeah, I guess we're just doing this because I think going back to issue 2, I didn't get that they were using the masks to scare tourists, that they were doing it as like a theme park thing.
No, it was totally Scooby-Doo, like you said earlier.
Totally Scooby-Doo. But it's all these, it's like little things. So it's like in season 1, that first issue, Hal, one of the Ganthet just takes Hal the book and he's like, hey man, someone messes with the book, all the rules are off. And they open up the book and there's Dr. Manhattan's symbol in there. Oh my God. So there it is. There's Grant Morrison doing a little bit of the scorched earth. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, tying it in with, whatever everyone else is playing around with. So,
well, he's just adding a little bit so that it makes sense for today. And,
and he could
you can use it later if you want. No big deal.
He could give a fuck about Watchmen. He probably loves it, seeing all this Watchmen stuff popping up. He's probably just like laughing.
Oh, Tom King on Tom King on
Rorschach. Grant Morrison. I'm thinking about Grant Morrison seeing like all this Watchmen, just knowing that it pisses Alan Moore off to no end.
I know. Well, see, Alan Moore, I guess he wouldn't care, but you kind of wonder, like, would you have these people do it, or would you like to have Grant Morrison do it?
I know,
he'd probably say neither, but
He'd probably say definitely not Grant Morrison because he could say anyone but Grant Morrison.
Well. You got who you got.
Give it to Scott Lobdell.
Anyway, maybe I should cut this short or cut this.
Whatever, I don't care.
Well, let me end the show.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to another episode of Fantastic Comics Presents. This is Green Lantern number 2. If you enjoyed the content, please give us a thumbs up. And if you want to ask us a question about anything, put it in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't to the channel, and there's all sorts of links down below for shirts or Patreon or something like that. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.
Buy comic books. Buy comic books.
And buy Green Lantern.
Yeah, buy Green.
Now, my pet, go! Follow the beam.
Oh!